Palestina!
¡Viva, viva Palestina!
¡Viva, viva Palestina!
¡Lucha, lucha Palestina!
¡Lucha, lucha Palestina!
¡Lucha, lucha Palestina!
¡Lucha, lucha Palestina!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
Justice, justice, we know how.
Justice, justice,
We know how!
Lift the siege on Gaza now.
Lift the siege on Gaza now!
Justice, justice, we know how.
Justice, justice, we know how!
Lift the siege on Gaza now.
Lift the siege on Gaza now!
Dan McKee, you can't hide.
Dan McKee, you can't hide!
We charge you with genocide.
We charge you with genocide!
Dan McKee, you can't hide.
Dan McKee, you can't hide!
We charge you with genocide.
We charge you with genocide!
Fight the power, turn the tide.
Fight the power, turn the tide!
End Israeli apartheid.
End Israeli apartheid!
Fight the power, turn the tide.
Fight the power, turn the tide!
End Israeli apartheid.
End Israeli apartheid!
Every time the media lies,
Every time the media lies,
another kid in Gaza dies.
another kid in Gaza dies!
Every time the media lies,
Every time the media lies,
another kid in Gaza dies.
another kid in Gaza dies!
Stop the killing, stop the crime.
Stop the killing, stop the crime!
Israel out of Palestine.
Israel out of Palestine!
Stop the killing, stop the crime.
Stop the killing, stop the crime!
Israel out of Palestine.
Israel out of Palestine!
Justice is our demand.
Justice is our demand!
No peace on stolen land.
No peace on stolen land!
Justice is our demand.
Justice is our demand!
No peace on stolen land.
No peace on stolen land!
Genocide is a crime.
Genocide is a crime!
Shut it down for Palestine.
Shut it down for Palestine!
Genocide is a crime.
Genocide is a crime!
Shut it down for Palestine.
Shut it down for Palestine!
Stop the killing, stop the hate.
Stop the killing, stop the hate!
We'll shut down the ocean state.
We'll shut down the ocean state!
Stop the killing, stop the hate.
Stop the killing, stop the hate!
We'll shut down the ocean state.
We'll shut down the ocean state!
Palestine, we promise you.
Palestine, we promise you!
We will return to you.
We will return to you!
Palestine, we promise you.
Palestine, we promise you!
We will return to you.
We will return to you!
Thank you, everybody. All right, let's get started. My name is Noor, and I stand before you today as a proud Palestinian, deeply enraged by the ongoing genocide happening in Palestine. I woke up to the news of two Palestinian boys, Adam and Basil, were shot and killed in Jenin today. One of them was 9 years old, and one of them was 15 years old. Both unarmed, both children. After the news on Saturday night of our own Hisham, an undergrad at Brown University, had been shot in a violent hate crime, I am pained and my sadness is in flames at the injustices and violence that Palestinians bear daily. Since October the 7th, Israel has dropped 40,000 tons of explosives on Gaza Strip. That's more than the explosive force of the nuclear bombs the US dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined. We are all united here to make it clear that Israel must not be allowed to restart their genocidal campaign. And we will make it clear that it will never defeat Palestinian resistance. From the occupied land we sit on today to Palestine, we will fight for justice and freedom. We demand a permanent ceasefire now. Thank you everyone for coming out for the Shut It Down for Palestine. It's a testimony to the people who have been on the streets since October 8th for a free Palestine. People who exist in the thousands, millions in the United States, and billions worldwide. There is a growing global movement for a free Palestine. Across the world, millions of people are engaging in demonstrations and organizing major marches in solidarity with Palestine. Our demands for a permanent ceasefire, cutting all aid to Israel, and lifting the siege on Gaza have broader support than ever. On November 4th, over 500,000 gathered in Washington, D.C. for the largest march in recent times to stand in solidarity with Palestine. Protests with over 500,000 have erupted in the streets of London. Constituents across Canada occupied over 17 MP offices from coast to coast. And Belgian dock workers' unions have refused to transport weapons by plane or sea that are destined for Israel. We must keep building momentum and increase the pressure with more marches, walkouts, sit-ins, and other forms of direct action directed at the political offices, businesses, and workplaces that fund, invest, and collaborate with Israeli genocide and occupation. Now is the time for our mobilizations to grow in size, frequency, and focus, building a political climate that makes Israel's business of genocide unsustainable. In Rhode Island, thousands of Rhode Islanders have been on the streets since October 8th, marching in the rain, picketing weapons contractors, shutting down businesses, disrupting genocide-complicit politicians. Today is the fourth such call for a national day to shut it down, which has been convened by Palestinian Youth Movement, National Student Justice in Palestine, Answer Coalition, the People's Forum, International People's Assembly, Al-Awda, Palestinian American Community Center. Today is the International Day of Solidarity with Palestinian people. November 29th, 1947 is the day when Palestine was partitioned into two states, triggering a full-scale injustice to the Palestinian people. It marks an anniversary of the infamous United Nations partition plan for Palestine that led to Israel's creation, passed at a time when most of the peoples of the world had not yet won independence and therefore not present in the UN. Every year on November 29th, people across the world who stand for peace, freedom, and justice commemorate the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. Since 1977, the majority of the nations, the global majority, has adopted this day to show solidarity with Palestinian people and full work towards resolving the injustices that are happening. And on this chilly November day, as we brave the weather together, I want to mention that there will be hot tea available. It's a small gesture, but in the warmth of this community, it symbolizes our shared resolve to stand strong despite the challenges we face. So once it's here, grab a cup, feel the warmth, and let's continue to amplify our voices for justice and solidarity. We will now be dropping two banners right on this bridge that connects the road to some of the biggest genocide funders in Rhode Island. One of the banners says Feminists Against Genocide, and the other is pertaining to the international solidarity for the people of Palestine. Please give a few hands in making the banner drop possible. The first speaker we have today is President of the GLO, Sharina Razik. Hey everybody, my name is Sharina. I am a diasporic Palestinian Canadian feminist, educator, activist, and labor organizer. Live, work, and study here on stolen Narragansett land, and I just want to say land back from Providence to Palestine. 6 weeks ago, a group of Palestinian and pro-Palestinian Arab, Black, Muslim, and anti-Zionist Jewish students were called into a meeting with the president of Brown University under the premise that she wanted to hear our concerns and extend her support to us during the ongoing genocide happening in Gaza now for 2 months. Despite our shared disdain for this president that she has inspired over years of stifling our activism, her outspoken support of Israel, her preference to call the cops on peaceful protesters, her refusal to heed multiple democratic demands from undergraduate students, graduate workers, faculty, and Brown's own Ethical Investments Committee urging Brown to divest from corporations profiteering from apartheid and now genocide in Palestine, we obliged the request. And we made our concerns and appeals for support clear. We said, Brown must use its power and privilege to pressure Senators Reid, Senators Whitehouse, and now Senator Amo to call for a ceasefire and an end to U.S. military aid to the genocidal state of Israel. We said we needed real protections for students who would be facing racialized and Islamophobic discrimination, doxing, censorship, and violence. And finally, and most importantly, we demanded that Brown and President Christina Paxson finally heed 6 years of multiple democratic demands to divest from Israeli apartheid. We made it explicit in that meeting that Brown University cannot purport to care about its Palestinian students and community members while profiteering from Palestinian death in our colonized homelands. We were met with silence, dismissal, and inaction. Only when our classmate Hisham Al-Wartani had a bullet shot into his spine in a racialized execution attempt did the university respond to condemn the rampant anti-Palestinian and anti-Arab racism we told them about weeks ago. The university then went on to perform their insidious PR stunt vigil while ignoring our material demands for divestment as the only real means of protecting our students. So the president should not be shocked that her statements on Monday night, claiming that she was powerless, that we were all powerless to do anything to stop this horrific violence, were met with outrage and uproar at this lie, and that she was not just shouted but shamed off of the stage. Shame. Shame. The repression and attacks against Palestinian activists on and off our campuses by racist, violent, white supremacists are encouraged by the vitriolic, fear-mongering Zionist and Zionist-aligned politicians, right-wing pundits, media corporations, and university administrations who enable and perpetuate the dehumanization of Palestinian life and the normalization of our death. Our universities, in particular, are more concerned about preserving their endowment profits than protecting the life of our students. That has been made clear to us. Shame. We will no longer accept the excuse that an endowment is not a political tool. This is President Paxson's words when she stifled our multiple divestment demands. $7.7 billion. A $7.7 billion endowment has power. Prestigious universities have power. Christina Paxson has power. But when we stand united as students and student workers together, we are more powerful. To end this genocide, which has now exceeded the death, devastation, and displacement wrought by the originary violence of the 1948 Nakba, we will, by all means necessary, hold our institutions and other systems of power accountable to our calls to end complicity in the extermination of Palestinian life and the theft of Palestinian lands. Speaking on behalf of the student activists at Brown and student activists across this country that are rising up, we want to tell the world that so many important liberation and specifically divestment movements And the Palestinian liberation movement itself started and grew from student activists like us. We are united across multiracial, multi-religious, and different national backgrounds. We are committed in our goals to win divestment, and we will not stop until we have justice for our friend Hisham and for his friends Tahsin and Kinan, and justice for Palestine. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4.
2, 3, 4.
Open up the prison doors.
Open up the prison doors.
5, 6, 7, 8.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Gaza, we will liberate.
Gaza, we will liberate.
In our millions, in our billions.
In our millions, in our billions.
We are all Palestinian.
We are all Palestinian.
In our millions, in our billions.
In our millions, in our billions.
We are all Palestinian.
We are all Palestinian.
Resistance is justified
Resistance is justified
when people are occupied.
when people are occupied.
Resistance is justified
Resistance is justified
when people are occupied.
When people are occupied.
No more hiding, no more fear.
No more hiding, no more fear.
Genocide is crystal clear.
Genocide is crystal clear.
No more hiding, no more fear.
No more hiding, no more fear.
Genocide is crystal clear.
Genocide is crystal clear.
Up with liberation. Down, down with occupation.
Up with liberation. Down with occupation.
Up with liberation. Down with occupation.
Up with liberation. Down with occupation.
Wake up, Sleepy Joe.
Wake up, Sleepy Joe.
Occupation's got to go.
Occupation's got to go.
Wake up, Sleepy Joe.
Wake up, Sleepy Joe.
Occupation's got to go.
Occupation's got to go.
Thank you, everyone. We will hear next from Luca, the leader of the RISD Students for Justice in Palestine. We will be hearing from Santi instead of Luca, the leader of the RISD Students for Justice in Palestine.
Really good. Yeah, so hi, I'm not Luca. Again, wanted to echo being on Narragansett land. This is occupied land. We're so grateful to be here, and land back from Palestine, from Providence to Palestine, always. Oh shoot, yeah, totally, for sure. Let's start with Viva, Viva Palestina!
Viva Palestina!
Lucha Palestina!
Lucha Palestina!
Imanayam kashan kichis nukhaha sutimi santin kani ay lujajo tawasi yakta mantan Arequipa Perú suyo. ¿Qué tal todos? ¿Cómo están? Mi nombre es Santi, mi familia y mi comunidad somos de Cotahuasi, Arequipa, Perú. Hello, how are you all? My name is Santi. My family and my community is de un pueblo of the Cotahuasi Sierra Montañas of Andes of Arequipa, Peru. We are Quechua, Runacuna, people of the earth. I'm a representative, not the president, of RISD Students for Justice in Palestine. I love to hear it. Thank you all for being here. Siempre, no? I have been at every rally PSL has organized for Palestine since October 7th. And I am here today, especially as a Quechua person, standing in solidarity with Palestinian people. And I will continue to be here for every rally we have, because this is our collective struggle towards liberation. My family are indigenous people who have been displaced from our homelands due to US imperialism and colonization. For those of you who don't know, Peru has been through For those of you who don't know, Peru has been through 7 presidents in the past 6 years. Presidents who have been imprisoned due to money laundering, bribery, dictatorship, corruption, and genocide. And that doesn't even include the 30 years of presidents before. The Peruvian government has been unstable and corrupt, seeking to kill indigenous people, Aymara people, Quechua people, and Quichua people of the Andes. These presidents took bribes from petrol companies, mining companies, and the United States. My abuelo survived working in the mines of Cayoma, Arequipa, mining silver, gold, zinc, and lead. and my abuelo died during COVID. Today, the current president of Peru, Dina Boluarte, this Dina Asesina, or Dina the Killer, authorized the Peruvian armed forces to massacre protesters and massacre indigenous communities of Juliaca and Ayacucho on December 14th and 15th of 2022. The same Peruvian armed forces who executed a plan called Plan Verde during the Fujimori regime that actively sought to genocide Quechua, Aymara, and other indigenous people of the Andes for petroleum, gold, silver, zinc, lead, and precious resources to extract from, to further build an empire by whatever means necessary. Shame. It was the Fujimori regime that my family was displaced by and was forcibly moved out of Peru to survive. And the US helps fund the Peruvian armed forces. The same struggle that Palestinians face is the same struggle that we face. Displacement is genocide. If you kill a culture, you kill a peoples. You kill the knowledge keepers, you kill a people. This is a tactic of genocide. The same tactics that created boarding schools, mass killings, forced sterilization, and non-consensual sterilization of indigenous women. It is the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1978. It is the United States government supporting the overthrowing of governments to place dictatorships across Latin America. The United Fruits Company, now known as Chiquita Banana, massacred Maya people in Colombia. In Guatemala, the United States government funded and supported the Guatemalan army to also genocide indigenous peoples. Shame! Just like what is happening in the Congo with the genocide and displacement of Congolese people to extract cobalt, and the genocide and the displacement of the people of Sudan. And Sudan right now has the largest number of internally displaced people globally. Israel and the United States, our oppressors, share resources and share profits. The United States profits off of extraction, destabilizing economies, the global south, and internationally. The United States profits off of war, torture, weapons, bombs of phosphorus. The United States profits off of genocide of indigenous people of the North and South and the genocide of Palestinian people. Shame. It is beneficial to, and it is the goal of these colonizing, terrorizing nation states, Israel and the United States, to exterminate our people, to exterminate indigenous peoples internationally. It is the economic interest of the strategy of powers of the nation state to exterminate Palestinians. The US empire seeks to eradicate our peoples as a means of exploiting our Mother Earth, Pachamama. And this is an international day of solidarity, because the United States and Israel and all colonizing oppressive forces violently occupy and take land and our people as resources to be extracted from. For resources extraction over the lives of human beings. And just as Palestinian people are being displaced today, so are my people. The United States poisons our earth, making our land inhospitable, starving people. Our struggles against the colonizer are intrinsically linked. We share this collective suffering and anger and grief and action to be in solidarity for the freedom of Palestine. As indigenous people internationally and allies of indigenous people, it is what we share, our reciprocity and in our relations to others. Indigenous people of the global south and of the world have faced and are continuing to face genocide of colonizing forces. Estamos en la misma lucha y siempre tenemos que seguir en la lucha juntos. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. We are in the same fight, and we must always fight together. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. Thank you. And Taiki. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free! From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
Our next speaker is Lubna, a scholar, a feminist, a Palestinian.
Good afternoon, y'all. It's so good to be here with you all today. I feel like in these moments of crisis and catastrophe, it is we who have to be together, who have to band together to show love and care for one another, because at the end of the day, Palestinians see you all as our kin, and we are fighting so that we can welcome you into our homes in a liberated Palestine. I always have an issue with the mics, but all right. I'm here today representing the Palestinian Feminist Collective. Thank you. And across 13 cities, we are dropping banners, and across 13 cities, we are making our voices known that feminists, true feminists, do not believe in genocide. We stand against genocide. We stand against torture and oppression and imprisonment. But I know that for many in our community, even the word feminism is a hard pill to swallow. It's not just a word that was weaponized against us to justify the invasions and slaughter of millions of Iraqis and Afghans. It is not only a word that was used by white feminists to justify the torture and incarceration of Black and Indigenous and brown men in this country. Shame. But it is a word that in the present moment, it has been used to delegitimize the Palestinian people and our steadfast struggle for freedom. As feminists, we say to colonial feminists that we are shutting you down. Palestinian feminists stand on the shoulders of the long tradition of Black, Indigenous, and Third World women and feminists who have fought against imperialism, colonialism, capitalism, racism, understanding that gendered and sexual violence is built into those structures and ideologies from the onset. We stand on their shoulders to continue their legacy. We stand on their shoulders today to say that colonial feminists don't get to demonize our people and our resistance. Number two, why are we as Palestinian feminists speaking out today? Part of being a Palestinian feminist is a relentless commitment to affirming truth. Affirming truth. And I want us to think about that for a second. I want you to think about what you have been going through personally for the last 2 months. And the exact moment that we were hearing lies about 40 decapitated Israeli babies, we were actively watching the children and babies of Gaza being pulled out of the rubble. Shame. So feminists say that you cannot oppress us, steal our land, kill our people, and then expect that people will believe your lies. Expect that people will believe that you are the victims. Okay? This is about a structure of power. And I want us to think about what that means for us here in Providence. And the exact moment that this entire country is telling us that this phrase from the river to the sea is a threatening phrase is the exact moment that Palestinian students and youth are being shot at. It is our community. It is our community who has been shot at and stabbed to death and beaten up and brutalized in this country. And yet we are consistently portrayed as demonic, bloodthirsty terrorists or terrorist supporters. So as feminists, our commitment to affirming truth means that we do not get afraid when they distort the truth. It means that we bear witness to the truth and we spread the message everywhere. And it means fundamentally that affirming truth means fundamentally that we affirm life. We are affirming life in a time of genocide. We are affirming life in a time where genocide is not only normalized, but is covered up. So the Palestinian Feminist Collective and Palestinian feminists on the ground in Palestine are affirming truth, are shutting down colonial feminisms, and are affirming life. And last, but most importantly, Palestinian feminists for decades for generations have been the ones to pick up the pieces after every catastrophic invasion and destruction of our homeland and our people and our homes. Part of our commitment to affirming life means that we're going to pick up the pieces. We are going to rebuild home. We are going to recreate life and family. We are going to recreate joy. We are going to recreate Palestinian steadfastness and resistance and celebration. And we are never, ever, ever going to surrender our attachments to our homeland and our right to return to it. Thank you very much.
Justice, justice, we know how.
Lift the siege on,
Lift the siege on Gaza now.
lift the siege on Gaza now.
Justice, justice, we know how.
Justice, justice, we know how.
Lift the siege on Gaza now.
Lift the siege on Gaza now.
Dan McKee, you can't hide.
Dan McKee, you can't hide.
We charge you with genocide.
We charge you with genocide.
Dan McKee, you can't hide.
Dan McKee, you can't hide.
We charge you with genocide.
We charge you with genocide.
بالروح بالدم نفديك يا فلسطين. بالروح بالدم نفديك يا فلسطين. بالروح بالدم نفديك يا فلسطين. نفديك يا فلسطين. Thank you, everyone. Our next speaker is Farah, the face of a young Palestinian, determined, resolute, backed by the multinational working people of Rhode Island. Farah has been at the forefront of all mobilizations in Rhode Island since October 7th. Give it up for Farah.
Such a nice introduction. Oh my god. I'm sorry if I'm a little shaky, I'm freezing, but this does not compare to what the Gazans are feeling right now while they're living on their homes that are rubble. Okay? So, real quick, I just want to talk about life as a Palestinian for the past 8 weeks. I have never been afraid to walk anywhere in this country, to be frank. I have never been afraid to walk on campus. I have never been afraid to wear my hijab. For the last 6 months, I've been wearing it, you know. But I have never been afraid to just be unapologetically me, Palestinian, Muslim, and proud. But for the last 8 weeks, I expect anything. At any point, I expect verbal abuse. I expect someone to physically attack me in public. I expect to be shot at. I expect all of these things as a Palestinian now, especially because I wear the hijab. We are specifically targeted, okay? And we saw this when our fellow student, our fellow, classmate from Brown University, Hisham, along with 2 of his friends were shot in Vermont for wearing the Palestinian kufiya. Shame. Not also to mention Wadi', the 6-year-old boy that was stabbed 26 times, which was brushed over by American media and Western media so quickly. We didn't even mourn this child who was killed for being Palestinian.
Shame!
Shame. It is a shame. This is all because racist, white supremacists have now taken the okay to do whatever they want because of our government's rhetoric.
Shame.
Because of anti-Arab, anti-Muslim, Islamophobic, xenophobic rhetoric. Shame. President Biden speaks in a way that dehumanizes us as Palestinians, as Muslims, as Arabs, and honestly, as all minorities, all oppressed people. They have a certain way of talking about us, which automatically dehumanizes us. Shame. The US government and Biden's pushing of anti-Arab and Islamophobic rhetoric has caused a number of atrocities in this country. And we have seen them throughout the last 8 weeks. We won't be silent anymore. We have not been silent for the past 8 weeks, and we will continue to be loud until they hear us and until they do something about this. Now, I just want to shift over to what's happening in Palestine right now. So while everybody is focused, of course, on Gaza and the atrocities coming out of Gaza and how bad it is there, we're kind of turning a blind eye to the West Bank. And the West Bank right now is probably in one of its worst conditions, even though what has been happening in the West Bank has been happening since 75 years ago. Today, in Jenin, a 14-year-old named Bel Abu Wafa was sniped in Jenin.
Bassett!
Basil.
Don't forget the names, guys!
Basil Abu Wafa. And an 8-year-old, Adam Al-Ghol in Jenin, was also shot to death. Shame. I also want to note that Jenin is where Shireen Abu Akleh, who was a journalist and had an American citizenship, was also sniped.
Shame!
And what did America do about her death? About her being killed? Nothing. Which just goes to show you, it doesn't matter if you're an American citizen there. It doesn't matter if you're an American citizen here. Our lives don't matter to these people. They don't matter to the president. They don't matter to white supremacists. They don't matter. But we're here to tell you they matter. And we will be remembered. And the people that have died and have been killed will be remembered, whether they like it or not. Because we will not be silenced. Like I said, the situation in the West Bank has been going on for 75 years. My family is used to hearing stories like Basil's and Adam's because it happens every single day. My family lives in Nablus. I have family in Gaza. They experience this every single day. So I'm telling you firsthand, this is not new. Palestinians live with this. But now we're seeing it more because the eye is on Gaza and the eye is on Palestine. The IOF, Israeli Occupation Forces, do not discriminate. They don't discriminate. Doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your sex, doesn't matter your religion. They don't care. If you look Arab, you will be killed. And it's as simple as that. And they've shown us that. Shame. There's also a number of atrocities that nobody knows about, including the 400 dead Palestinian bodies that the Israelis hold, the Israeli Occupation Forces hold. And basically they store them in coolers, and when they need them for organs or to put in their skin banks, that's when they use them. And it is another form of, hurting and causing trauma to the families of these Palestinians because it's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. They traumatize the families of Palestinians. They traumatize us, the displaced Palestinians, and we're not going to stand for it anymore. These 400 bodies need to be returned to their families and must be buried with dignity. They shouldn't be stored in coolers as some pawn in a game. It's not a game. These are people. These are bodies. They're not numbers. Okay? So we say no more. No more. This will not continue, and we will not allow it to. These children have been screaming for help, and that is why we are standing in solidarity with all Palestinians, and we will continue to stand until Palestine is free. I have seen overwhelming support for Palestine across the globe, which, by the way, is insane to me because my family and I have been talking about the Palestinian struggle for as long as I can remember. Since I was a child, I was yelling free, free Palestine, and it was like a broken record because nobody would hear us. But now people are hearing us. I have seen, like I said, overwhelming support across the globe, especially from the formerly colonized world, from indigenous people to our oppressed black and brown brothers and sisters, to our oppressed Latino and Latina, Hispanic brothers and sisters. Why? Because people can immediately identify Zionism for what it is. The same old European colonization project. It is directly connected to white supremacy, and we have seen this on multiple occasions. I stand here as a proud Palestinian saying thank you. Thank you for continuing to show up for my oppressed and for Palestine, my oppressed and formerly oppressed brothers and sisters. This fight is ours, a fight for all who have been oppressed and are being oppressed. And we will not stop until oppression is wiped off the face of the earth indefinitely. A fight for justice is a fight for humanity, a fight for the end of oppression of all people. Palestinian liberation is at the core of ending oppression, and we will not stop until Palestine is free. From the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free.
from the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free.
from the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free.
from the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
Thank you so much.
Israel bombs, USA pays.
Israel bombs, USA pays.
How many kids did you kill today?
How many kids did you kill today?
Israel bombs, USA pays.
Israel bombs, USA pays.
How many kids did you kill today?
How many kids did you kill today?
Up, up with liberation.
Up with liberation.
Down, down with occupation.
Down, down with occupation.
Up with liberation.
Up with liberation.
Down with occupation.
Down with occupation.
In our millions, in our billions.
In our millions, in our billions.
We are all Palestinian.
We are all Palestinians.
In our millions, in our billions.
In our millions, in our billions.
We are all Palestinian.
We are all Palestinians.
Free, free Palestine.
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 Free, free, free Palestine.
Free, free, free Palestine.
Give it up for yourselves. Our next speaker is Lina Altan, a student at URI.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello. My name is Lena, and I'm the vice representative of the Muslim Student Association at the University of Rhode Island. Thank you. I am also a former refugee. I am from the cradle of the Syrian revolution, Daraa. Daraa is in the south of Syria. I was born and raised there. When the attacks on Gaza started, the first thing I thought of, oh my God, it's October, and soon it will be cold. Oh my God, soon it will be so cold that all they will think about is that they're gonna be bombed and they'll be under the rubble and they will be cold. It's the same feeling and it's the same thought that I thought of when I was in Syria, when the whole Arab revolution or Arab Spring started in December and then it continued to spread around the Middle East. The first time my house was under attack was also in the cold. The first time we had to escape was also in the cold. The first time that we couldn't return to our homes and we were cold outside of our homes was also in the cold. So I fear winter. I fear the cold. I fear that I will not be warm. In the same way the Palestinian children in Gaza fear the cold. And then I also fear displacement because I also was displaced from my home, from Daraa, in the cold. I left Syria in January in the cold, and now Palestinians in the millions are being displaced in the cold. I hated the cold. I hated winter. I hated the rain and I hated the snow. But it's the only memories that I grab from Syria. It's the winter and the cold. And my hands are shaking from the cold. I remember the cold. And that's why I feel for the Palestinians when they are being bombed in this weather. But then I also remember the time where our house also was being attacked, and me and my siblings were debating which part of our bodies we are ready to let go. I said, I wouldn't let go of my leg. I would want to walk. I wouldn't want to be a burden on my family when we have to escape at some point. I said, maybe I'll let go of my left leg because then I'll be able to actually support myself. But I said, no, I really love my leg. I would love to run in the future. Then I said maybe I'll let go of my right arm. But I said I love reading and writing. At some point I would love to become a writer. So I will keep my right arm. I said perhaps my eye. I said no, I love my eyes. I love to see things. And then said what would I let go? I want to let go of something I would not regret and I would not be crying over. And then I settled on my left arm. I wouldn't need it to write. I wouldn't need to hold things. I'm holding with my right hand. But then something sparked. I said, wait, I could also die. So I would let go of myself. So I would rather die than staying alive with the lost limb, with the lost eye, with the lost finger, perhaps with a lost life. I'd rather die than staying alive with no arm, with no leg, with no limb to survive. I'd rather die. And now all I'm thinking about is the Palestinian kids that have lost a limb, that have lost an eye, that have lost fingers and also lost hopes and cries. That's what I'm thinking of. Those kids that also wish they have died. They wish they were killed instead of surviving in this horrible world. So when I see those Palestinians, I remember myself in Syria, in Daraa, in the corner of my house, wishing and surrendering and saying that it's okay to actually die. It's okay to say goodbye to the world, this world that does not actually hear us, does not love us, does not care about us. And that was the last word before I escaped Syria on January, when we woke up. And I found myself in a mosque, and then I found myself in Jordan. But you know what's funny? What's funny is that throughout the 11 years of my life in Syria, and throughout the revolution, and every single time our house was targeted, or my neighborhood, they would target at night. So I also hated and feared the night. But you know what I also hated? I hated the fact that I always was sleepy and refused to wake up. All I wanted is to sleep to sleep the night, to sleep the morning. But the world was never allowing us to do so. And when I see these videos of these sleepy kids that survived, it breaks my heart. Thank you. It breaks my heart because I know how much they miss sleeping. I know how much they fear the night. I know how much they fear the cold, the winter, October, December, January, and all the rubble and all that has erased us. Thank you.
Now we will be hearing from Jair, part of the PSL.
Hey everybody, my name is Jair and I'm a proud organizer with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. Today, as we know, is an International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. It marks the anniversary of the infamous 1947 United Nations partition plan for Palestine that led to Israel's creation and consequently the Nakba the following year. Like Noor mentioned, it was passed at a time when most of the peoples of the world had not yet won independence and could not be present at the UN. But 75 years later, the UN position on the Palestinian resistance is abundantly clear. According to UN Resolution 2625, it reaffirms the legitimacy of the struggle of peoples for independence, territorial integrity, national unity, and liberation from colonial domination, apartheid, and foreign occupation by all available means, including armed struggle. Without a doubt, this crystallizes the UN's understanding of Palestinian resistance as resistance and underlines their fight for liberation as a morally and legally legitimate response to occupation. From October 7th and on, from the First and Second Intifada, before and after 1948, Palestinian resistance has been legitimate. Israeli propaganda is rooted in delegitimizing Palestinian resistance and legitimizing occupation, apartheid, land theft, and genocide. The 1,400 on October 7th has now quietly been reduced to 900, according to Haaretz, Israeli media. and an Israeli attack helicopter was revealed to be indiscriminately slaughtering Palestinian resistance fighters and its own civilians. The Israeli government is now threatening to pull funding from Haaretz for reporting this. But we are watching the fall of Zionism in real time. Israel maintains that it has a right to self-defense in order to justify its ongoing genocide against the Palestinian people. This claim has no legal backing at all. According to Francesca Albanese, a UN specialist on occupied Palestinian territories, Israel cannot claim the right of self-defense against a threat that emanates from the territory it occupies, from a territory that is kept under belligerent occupation. Israel's status as an occupying, colonizing force means that its supposed right to exist is also a lie, and that Israel has an obligation to end its occupation of Palestine immediately. But Israel would never do this on its own. It would never correctly assess itself as an occupying colonial power committing genocide. So that's why today, all around the world, we're having rallies like this one. It's of the highest urgency for people around the world to come out and express solidarity with the Palestinian cause for self-determination. It is of the highest urgency to name Israel for what it is, to not let it hide itself behind the US media and politicians. And the people have overwhelmingly answered that call, globally. The fight for liberation is one that should be undertaken by working people everywhere. But this is especially true for the Global South, since throughout history, Israel has proven to be instrumental not just to the oppression of Palestinians, but as a proxy state for genocide and oppression against the peoples of the Third World. I was born here in the south side of Providence, to a father who escaped the Guatemalan Civil War. During that 30-year war, Israel provided $38 million worth of arms to the fascist military dictatorship of Guatemala. Israel trained the death squads of that military in counterinsurgency, which committed widespread repression in the rural countryside. Then, by its people, and now internationally, we recognize the Maya genocide. 200,000 people, civilians, workers, peasants, and 87% of them were Maya. In the West, it's called the Silent Holocaust. And when the human rights violations were causing too much commotion for the Carter administration, the U.S. stepped back from its role in the genocide, and Israel stepped in. The Galil, the Israeli weapon designed to slaughter Palestinian Arabs, were now slaughtering Maya and Ladino workers and peasants. The result was 92% of civilians were executed by government forces, Israeli trained forces. Literally countless children were killed because entire villages were razed after Israel taught the Guatemalan military how to commit a Nakba of their own. The bodies of the children still go missing to this day. So when we say in the thousands and the millions we are all Palestinian, it isn't poetry. It isn't rhetoric.
That's right.
It's reality. Because it doesn't stop at Palestine. It doesn't stop at Guatemala. Israel violently occupied South Lebanon for 15 years. And in the last month, bombed them with white phosphorus, an internationally banned chemical weapon. It has bombed every country bordering them. It politically and economically supported apartheid South Africa. It refuses to release weapon sales made to Rwanda during the Rwandan genocide. It armed the Shah in Iran and Pinochet in Chile. And all of its rollover tear gas is used on protesters here in the United States. Everywhere Israel goes is marked for genocide. Israel's main export has been genocide, whether it's within Gaza, the West Bank, or around the world. To all those killed by Israeli weapons, we are all Palestinian. To all those hit with Israeli tear gas, we're all Palestinian. To all those displaced from war and occupation, Israel and the U.S. funded, backed, and armed, we are all Palestinian. Because Israel goes wherever the U.S. won't, wherever and whenever it can't afford international scandal. And that's what we mean by Israel is a proxy. It moves forward to push U.S. imperialism. But Zionism is dying and the U.S. knows it. The world has stood with Palestine. International consensus is rapidly turning against Israel. In Latin America, Bolivia has severed diplomatic ties with Israel completely. Chile and Colombia both recalled their ambassadors. Colombian President Gustavo Petro has rightfully condemned Israel's actions as genocide. And Venezuela and Nicaragua have broken relations with Israel long before October 7th. Jordan, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Qatar, Kuwait have all denounced Israel's bombardment of Gaza. And Saudi Arabia, which was on the cusp of signing the biggest normalization agreement with Israel prior to October 7th, now appears to be completely off the table as a partner. Egyptian parliament this week was in uproar as a safe majority condemned Israel's genocide against Palestine, urging for action. And Yemen has blockaded Israel at the Red Sea in support of solidarity for Gaza. The millions that have been marching in cities across the world in solidarity with Palestine in recent weeks are having real, tangible effects on the world stage. 5 days ago, we stood in front of Providence Place Mall and we said that we needed to maintain pressure. Within a day, someone shot 3 Palestinian youth and 1 here, a student at Brown. Today, on International Day of Solidarity with Palestinian people, as Noor and as Farah pointed out, Israel killed 2 Palestinian boys in the West Bank. This is exactly why we must continue our movement and to build it. The far right continues its attack on Palestinians, as Israel continues its genocide, pause or no pause. And if they have not slowed down, neither can we. As long as the resistance in Palestine is strong, we must remain strong, and our power is in our numbers. Across the U.S. and right here in Providence, we must continue shutting it down for Palestine. We must continue flooding the streets. We must continue disrupting business as usual until there is a permanent ceasefire and an immediate end to all support and aid to Israel. As Brian Becker of the Socialist Program said, Israel can keep killing, but it cannot win, and we won't let them. The world is rallying at a scale unprecedented. The ground shakes beneath the feet of millions marching for Palestine. The resounding collective voice of the earth is loud and clear. From the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free!
Alright, last thing everyone, on Saturday, December 9th, we'll be hosting an event called Blockade to Blockade, Resisting Empire in Palestine and Cuba, at New Urban Arts here on Westminster. The event is free for all, but it is a fundraising event to raise money for children with leukemia in Cuba. So please come by, buy popcorn, learn about blockades, meet other people passionate about Palestine, and chat with people in the party if you're interested in joining.
I want to end with a small note. We have seen the lies of Israel in the USA. We know. On Sunday, they released 117 Palestinian civilian hostages, and on the same day, they kidnapped 116 more. To hold hostage, and they are hostages, not prisoners. So don't believe the news, they are not prisoners, they have no charges. They are children without charge. Children, women, and men. Meanwhile, they will not let the Israeli hostages speak to any media about the humanity with which they have been treated by Palestinian resistance. The people of Gaza have taught us so much. They are resilient, they are unwavering, they are strong. They will never die. I'd like to end off with one last chant. Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry.
Gaza, don't you cry.
Palestine will never die.
Palestine will never die.
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry.
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry.
Palestine will never die.
Palestine will never die.
Free, free Palestine.
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 Free, free, free Palestine.
Free, free, free Palestine.
Thank you all so much for coming today. We are strong in our numbers and we will continue to shut it down.